In a world where Star Wars fans are disillusioned, divided, and devoid of all hope, one baby will bring us all together.
You want some soup?
Welcome to Durbania, I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler talk review for The Mandalorian. Earlier, I was kind of debating whether I was going to give Season 1 an A- or a B+, and I was actually leaning towards B+. Until earlier today, I was, doing my other job, making a video, talking to somebody about The Mandalorian, and I realized how attached I got to both Mando and Baby Yoda. Their bond is a dyad in the Force, and it is powerful, and I realized how attached I got to that. Right there where they dropped Baby Yoda, I'm telling you what, I was on my feet, and I was seeing red. I'm gonna give it an A- because it did a good job getting me attached to the main characters and really just drawing me in. One of the things outright that I liked about the show, it was only 8 episodes for the first season. I don't like it nowadays, thanks to streaming, when shows feel like they have to be 23 episodes. They have to be 13 or whatever, because it feels like then you throw in these filler episodes and they're not as good. They don't really add to the story. They're just there to fill time, to fill up the certain number of episodes that there has to be. It's like, no, give me the show and tell me the story you want to tell me. Don't throw in these filler things. And as far as fillers go, I only feel like there was one episode that felt like a filler to me in Season 1, and that was Chapter 5. And I think that's the chapter where Mando and Baby Yoda go back to Tatooine. What was cool about it was the nostalgia. I mean, it was cool to see Tatooine 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Cool to see the Mandalorian park his spaceship where the Falcon was parked when we met it in A New Hope. Things like that were really kind of cool, but I don't feel like Chapter 5, and maybe I'm forgetting something, so if I am, feel free to let me know. It's just, that episode didn't really stand out to me as an episode that really took that story and carried it forward. It felt more like it's there to give us the nostalgia of seeing Tatooine. Also a little creepy to see Stormtrooper helmets on pikes. But it was an epic shot. But that's not to say I didn't like the episode. I still liked it because overall, I really did like this show. I was kind of torn. Do I like the fact that I'm waiting week to week for a new episode, or do I like the Netflix model where the whole season drops all at once? The answer is I like both. But what was kind of nice about the chapters being dropped once a week was the waiting, because it built the suspense and it built the tension of like what's going to happen next. It built the discussion, and so I was kind of excited to watch it when it dropped and then wait a week and see the new one. And in one way, it makes it harder to review because there's like more space in between episodes, but in another way, it makes it easier to enjoy because when you get that good episode and you've waited a week for it, it feels more like a reward. So I really did like that whole aspect of it. I loved seeing the Star Wars galaxy 5 years after the fall of the Empire. That was just cool to get the feel for what the galaxy was like, not from a Jedi perspective, but from just a whole different perspective altogether, and see what it was like after the Empire fell, the New Republic is building, what's the world like, what's it like to live in this galaxy, and I felt like I got that. So I think they did a really good job with the environment and the feel of the environment, and it really did feel like Star Wars, and they did a good job with that. The Mandalorian was fantastic, and one of the things that I really liked about the actual character, Mando, was when you look at Star Wars, like especially like Return of the Jedi and with Darth Vader, they do a good job, even though the main person is wearing a mask, conveying what that person is feeling and what's going on inside. For instance, when Luke is being tortured by the Emperor, and before the Blu-ray where we had to throw in the no. Yeah. When it was just pure silence, you can sense the conflict inside of Vader. And I feel like it's very similar in The Mandalorian. Not that you're sensing a conflict, but you're sensing whatever he's feeling. You get it through the tone of his voice. You get it through the way that helmet blankly stares at the screen. You know, the way it's like staring. You're like, oh, I know exactly what he's feeling. They just did a good job conveying the emotion and conveying where he was. And he was a very likable character right from the beginning. Kind of like Han is this lovable rogue, where Han is kind of more comedic. But this is still a like lovable rogue. You just love this character. And then it just adds to it that moment you meet Baby Yoda. That very end of Chapter 1, and it ends, and there's Baby Yoda. I was ticked that I didn't have the entire season dropped at the same time. I wanted to go straight to the next episode because I'm sure your reaction was like mine. It's like, what? Another of the Yoda species is out there and it's a baby and it's 50? It's 50 and it's a baby. Well, that explains a lot. I mean, it's just cool to see another of Yoda's species to add to the lore of that species. It's 50 years old, and that still makes it an infant that can't talk. Well, maybe not an infant, but it's a baby that can't talk. And it was cool to get that and have that added to it. But, oh my gosh, that baby just captured, I think, everybody's heart that watched. And like I said, the bond between the Mandalorian and the baby, you felt it instantaneously because you felt the bond to Baby Yoda instantaneously. And they just did a good job not only making him cute and making him a puppet instead of a CGI character, but just making him so likable. Like when Mando was in trouble and the rhinoceros that lays eggs was about to kill him, and then all of a sudden you have Baby Yoda do the little Baby Yoda used the little baby force and it lifted the gigantic egg-laying rhinoceros and saved the Mandalorian's life. It's just one of those moments where you're blown away by the sheer epicness of that moment. And then to use this Baby Yoda to add to the lore of the Force, the fact that Mando was hurt in an earlier episode and the baby kept trying to heal him, but Mando kept pushing him away, it raised the question, can you heal with the Force? Is that what Baby Yoda's goal is? Is he trying to heal Mando with the Force? And then in Chapter 7, you see him heal with the Force. So I don't know if you had the same experience as me, but that episode, dropped on a Wednesday. I watched it, and then I went and watched The Rise of Skywalker, and then all of a sudden there's Rey using the Force to heal. But by the time I got to Rise of Skywalker, it felt like it was established canon because I saw Baby Yoda do it. If Baby Yoda could do it, sure. Of course it's something that exists. It was just kind of cool to get those two elements back to back, and so it really felt like it added to the lore. The other thing I just loved about Baby Yoda, to me, he was like this picture of childlike faith. Jesus said, if we have faith the size of a mustard seed, we can move mountains. So God likes it when we can just simply believe and have that childlike faith. And here is this child that just simply believes, and he's able to move gigantic egg-laying rhinoceroses. He's able to stop fire as it's coming in and throw it back because it's just this little baby, and that's just life. It just simply believes. And the power that was in that simple belief was extraordinary. That childlike faith captured the heart of the Mandalorian, as well as mine, and the hearts of all those that watched. So I thought it was an excellent picture of childlike faith. So it was cool the way they had this bond between the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. And great the way they set up the season 2 at the end of season 1 by saying it's part of the creed that the Mandalorian is the father of Baby Yoda until they either find his species, like find his kind, or until he comes of age, which at that point, the Mandalorian could be dead of old age before he even comes to his age. I don't know. But the point is the Mandalorian is effectively Baby Yoda's father until they find the species, which sets up a great season 2 of trying to find out what is this species, which I think is a question we've all asked about Yoda for so long, because until the Phantom Menace, we only ever saw one, just Yoda, and Phantom Menace, you only see in the background in the Jedi Council another of the same kind of Yoda. That's it, just in the background. So there's this mystery of what is it? And now we have season 2 of The Mandalorian where we get to explore what it is. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think that was a great setup, plus the emotional setup of Mando being his father. So I'm very much looking forward to season 2. I thought the characters were fantastic. I mean, IG was a fantastic droid. I liked the droid's character arc that he started off as this hunter-killer droid, gets reprogrammed by Quill and becomes the nurse droid, and he's like this super nice dude now. But, don't mess with the nurse droid. Because, he'll do that to you. So that was kind of cool to see this nurse droid still be this tough hunter-killer, but his program is now to protect and take care of, and he's protecting and taking care of Baby Yoda. And to save Baby Yoda, the way he stepped into that lava, the way he came out and blew himself up to take out those troops to save Baby Yoda, to save the Mandalorian, and to save his friends, it was an incredible moment. And cool with the Mandalorian as well, because he didn't trust droids at all, and we watch his character arc to the point where he trusts droids so much that he's sad when IG goes to give his life.
I'm not Sad.
Yes, you are. I'm a nurse droid. I've analyzed your voice.
Even more so, he takes IG at his word that I'm not alive. If I took off your helmet and treated your brain injury, you're not breaking your creed. And he took off his helmet. Now, I was torn there because it was cool to see the Mandalorian's face, to see kind of the fear in his eyes, to see his vulnerability, and one way it attaches you to the character a little bit more. On the other hand, it was kind of cool, like, that we never saw his face. So it would have been cool if we just cut away from his face and we know that the robot was seeing his face. But I don't know, I'm just so torn 50-50 on that moment. It was cool to see his face. It would have been cool if we never got to see his face. So I'm torn there. Cara Dune was a great character. And I loved how Cara Dune, Queel, and IG, like, these are all characters we met a little early on, and here we were building a team that had this tremendous payoff at the end of season 1. So seeing that groundwork laid at the beginning, payoff at the end, gives me so much hope for season 2. What groundwork have we laid here that's going to be paid off in the next season? I absolutely can't wait. And then you got Gideon. Oh my gosh. Coolest thing ever that he had a black lightsaber. And let me be honest, I don't know tons of stuff about the black lightsaber. Like, I don't have a whole history on it. I've been recently binging the Clone Wars. I'm about to start season 4, so I've seen one episode that had a black lightsaber. But from the perspective of one that doesn't know much about the black lightsaber, I still felt the full impact when he cut himself out of that crashed ship and he walks out with a black lightsaber. I felt it, man. I was like, who is this guy that he would have a lightsaber and a black lightsaber? And I know it's like this Mandalorian artifact, so it goes deeper in the fact that, you know, he was part of that purge, and so it's even worse that he has this lightsaber. But still, even without all of that knowledge, it's powerful to see him with that black lightsaber, and you know he's going to be formidable in season 2. And you know when season 2 gets here, this show is not just going to be some sideshow. It's really going to add to the lore of Star Wars and be something important in Star Wars canon. So I'm very much looking forward to season 2 of The Mandalorian. Did you like season 1 of The Mandalorian? I gave it an A-. Would you go higher? Would you go lower? Let's talk about that in the comments. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian and hit the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for the next time I do a movie review, ranking video, theological analysis, or anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.